Hello, gorgeous human beings of the channel. A summit of sisterhood for me, for you, for us. Today is the day before the last day. We have today left and tomorrow, and that will complete the channel. This morning, I have an extraordinary person coming to speak with you. We have been so lucky up until now with the speakers that we've had. It's been out of this world, but this one, gosh, I just can't believe sometimes the synchronicity of how things happen. And what I love about what you're going to hear today is how, maybe why the channel lasted 2 years. Like there are certain people where it's like, I think the channel lasted 2 years for me. I think when I think about it, when I think of the timing, I know this wasn't what it was supposed to be, but I get the feeling it's my fault. It's thanks to me. It's because of me. It's for me. And this next speaker, there's such an interesting moment with this speaker, and we actually spoke about it a little earlier in the summit with Lindsay, but there was this moment where Lindsay and I were talking about Christmas tree. I don't know if you remember that. And she was talking about the Christmas tree. And I said, there is one person that I spoke to, and she was sitting in front of her Christmas tree. And I don't think I will ever forget that coaching call, because that was one of the moments where I felt like we had opened the channel. And I always have these experiences in any mastermind that I'm running, that someone will come in and will behave in a certain way or be brave in a certain way. And it will feel to me in that moment that the container just cracked open. Like we cracked the matrix, or we cracked the channel. And I feel like I'll never forget that conversation where I left it saying, I think we cracked the channel today. And this is Danielle that's coming up to speak with me. It was her call. And to come back 2 years, full circle, and see the way that story unfolded, and to hear, you're going to see behind the scenes kind of what's been going on for the last 2 years. It kind of shows you can do anything if you get the right support, if you put your heart and your mind to it, if you follow your integrity and your knowing, if you just show up for yourself and you do the thing, there is nothing that you cannot do. And so the last time I had a conversation like this, just her and I, because we've had coaching calls and things like that, but the last time we've had a full hour conversation like this, she was sitting in her living room in front of a Christmas tree, and life was very different. And so I would love to introduce, with no more waiting time, the one and only, I pin her as I say this, Danielle DeAnna. Let me just pin it.
DeAnna, girl.
Danielle DeAnna. Oh my goodness, because you changed your last name.
I did, and it's all part of the process. It's all
Okay.
part of what we've been doing here for the last 2 years. Yeah,
I know. Okay, so I'm going to take a deep breath so not get emotional in the first 2 seconds. Okay, so let's just give people some context. What was happening 2 years ago right now?
Yeah, I will never forget that call that you're talking about. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I remember every aspect of it, because literally I had just realized that I was going to be diving into a very challenging divorce. I have 2 incredible little humans, twins, boy and girl, who are now 9 years old. And I was staring down the battle of what I didn't even realize was going to be one of the most challenging experiences in my entire life. And on one hand, the fact that I even felt the call and then actually followed through with joining a mastermind with all these amazing women that I didn't even know all that well. And at that exact moment boggles my mind. That is not an accident. It's just not an accident. It was a God moment. It was something new, what was coming down the pipeline for me, and knew what I was going to need in that process.
Gosh. So tell us a little bit, like you made some really intense decisions. Okay, here I am. You made some pretty intense decisions. You're like, I am actually taking myself off social media. I feel like I need to do that. And we're in the middle of the channel. A lot of the girls, or not in the middle, the beginning of the channel, a lot of the women that are here are all wanting to grow their social media during their 2 years. You know, there's a summit at the end, and it's like, I just got this really strong intuition. I need to shut everything down. Can you walk us through that decision?
Yeah. This was one of the most challenging decisions to make, because obviously I run an online business, which it's helpful when you're online, and so it was really a situation where, unfortunately, with the divorce, I was finding that the attorney and my ex were going in and taking anything and everything that I was putting online and taking me to court and using it against me and just creating a really, really challenging situation. And after a lot of contemplation, I decided to just take myself offline for many reasons. And we even spoke about this a little bit in my one-on-one call with you, where, I think there's part of it was for the safety and security of my family at the time. Part of it was to give myself the opportunity to continue to show up in the way that I desired to show up, not from reacting, not from anger, not from fear, not from judgment, and give myself a little bit of a chance to heal. And so it was I didn't know it was going to be 2 years at the time. This is what's crazy. I didn't know it was going to be 2 years at the time, but it turned out that it was exactly 2 years. And that, and like you said, I knew there was going to be a summit coming up. I also run an online business. I have people, this is what I do with clients. I help you build and scale your online business. And I knew that there was an aspect of this that was going to be challenging, because right now it was a little bit of do as I say, not as I do, which is a challenging place to be. But the beauty of this is I had built a really incredible business. I had an incredible referral system in place from clients. And so I was really, again, another gift, I believe, with every fiber of my being, that I, during those 2 years, was able to have, several clients come in through referrals and through different pathways that really allowed me to sustain my business and do it over that time.
Well, you are really a beautiful example for all of us, that when you get an intuition, even if it's as crazy as get off the online space as an online mentor, like, it's not just that your business is online, is that your business is about building online businesses. And so to have the courage to have that feeling like this is what I'm supposed to do, and to actually trust it, that is a huge move. But as we've said before, after having made a huge, crazy move that made no sense just weeks before, all of a sudden the next nudge doesn't feel so crazy. And this is what happens. Oh, there's such a beautiful thread in these conversations so far about people who said, I was called very soon after the channel to make a very intuitive decision that was crazy, that made no sense. And it's like, but of course you had the courage to take that decision and to make it, because you just made a big one. Like, it feels like it opens your trust towards yourself when you do something like this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so your business continued to grow. Your clients stuck around in a beautiful way, and new clients came in. So you're an example also of like, you can be successful and you can honor your intuition. You can step offline if you need, you can do the things, it'll still work. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So now everything's coming full circle. You've reopened your social media, because I was able to tag you today.
I know. It's exactly 2 years from the time that I went offline. This summit.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And we've changed the last name, Danielle, DeAnna. So DeAnna is, where does this come from?
It's my middle name, actually.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Danielle, DeAnna. And then is the divorce coming full circle also?
So this is the craziest thing. So it ended up taking 2 years to go through this process of this divorce. And it is just, it just now is final. I mean, literally on the end of this entire channel, as we come into the summit, it's like, here you go. It's literally final.
Metaphorical champagne.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like we should, right? And it's like I was saying to you, it's so crazy because there were so many pieces of this divorce that were so challenging, obviously, and the whole process, and then running my business kind of behind the scenes and doing all of that. But what this channel truly represented, I mean, so many things, but it gave me my safe haven. It gave me that connection to the online world without being able to be in the online world. It gave me the connection to sisterhood, to beautiful, beautiful people that, and a space where we could be real and raw and true. And we didn't have to be perfect, and we could show up in all the different ways and have the conversations and have the celebrations and cry through the moments that were sad and tearful, and experience the life changes that people had. And so I just am so grateful from the bottom of my heart. And I think there is no coincidence that, I mean, this channel was for me, right? I mean, it's like the timing, every single piece of it, it's so amazing.
Blows my mind. Well, I am so grateful for another story that just, it's just so validating also. Not that I need the validation, but it's so validating for my own intuition as well, because there were times during the 2 years where I was like, why did I do this? Like, what is happening? Like, there were challenging moments. There were moments where I just wasn't sure if if it was going the way I needed it to be going. Like, are they getting what I'm trying to do, or are we getting it? And to get to the end, and for this to be the summit, and for these to be the stories, and for these to be the testimonials at the end of, like, it was a calling. I answered the call. My life has changed in the process. I'm just like, I've got to look, because I've had moments of, can I trust my intuition? Or am I nuts? Like, this was a thing I sold without knowing what it was, and it ended up lasting a whole year longer than I thought it would. And this is a huge deal. Like, this is way more than I thought it would. And so, can I trust my intuition? But every time I get on a call with someone that shares this, I'm like, yes. So this is very reaffirming. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I want to give you the stage, and I want to give you a chance to, like, share. You have so much wisdom and so much beautiful things that you want to share with us. So I want to give you the space, and at any point, and when you're ready for me, you just say, Melanie, come on back, and I'll come on back on with you.
Okay. That's
Thank
wonderful.
you for everything. Enjoy.
Thank you. Ladies, I'm so excited to be here. I see so many beautiful faces, and I just want to thank those of you who are here live, and those of you who will be watching the replay, and those of you who are in the channel, and those of you who are coming along on the journey. Oh my goodness, what a journey it has been. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about, well, a couple of different things that I think are hopefully going to really speak to you today. And I'm going to speak a little bit about what I do, but more importantly, why I do it, and why I think it really makes a difference in people's lives. Because that's really what we're here to do when we're building these businesses. And I think we all have that beautiful nugget inside of us, that beautiful gift inside of us to share. And this is such an incredible opportunity to be able to do that. So my name is Danielle DeAnna. I help female entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses online. And one of the beauties of that is that I get to work first and foremost with incredible women who are wanting to bring their gifts out into the world, and to share and to grow and to offer and be of service to people in many different ways. And so if you are someone who is in the service-based industry, so coaching, I have, naturopaths, I have people from all different areas that really come to me for the help in what I realize over the time that I've done my work is one of 7 different areas that I feel like are really required to build and grow and step into when it comes to building our online business. So something else that's kind of fun about what I do is I actually do all of the tech and automation as well, which is a little bit crazy. And I think it's really helpful for women, especially because I always tell people this online space is really the only place where, if you're going to run a business online, you have to either learn your own business, grow your own business, and then learn an entirely different business in order to bring everything online and do everything that's required to be online. It's different than a brick and mortar business, right? If we open a store, we don't go and build the building that the store is in, right? We're not required to do that. And so the automation can be challenging sometimes, and we can, try to navigate that ourselves, which is wonderful. We can hire someone to help do that. But I do want to say that, it really is not about being perfect. There is no perfect platform. There's no perfect way to do this. And a lot of what I'm going to speak on today is really about that individuality and doing what really calls to you instead of looking outside at what everybody else is doing, because it's a very loud world out there, especially when we're in the online space and we're talking about marketing strategies and selling strategies and how to do things. And so I really just want to give you right now the peace of mind that whatever you choose to do is going to be beautiful, and whatever you choose to do is going to be perfect for you. And so one of the things that let me start here, the 7 steps that I truly believe are critical in your business, if you're someone who's online, in the online space, is, first of all, building your personal brand. Okay, this means something different to everyone, but to me, it is the most critical piece of what we do, because it is the foundation that every single thing that we do in our business stands on. And I think a lot of times in the effort of wanting to get started, watching what's happening in the space around us, watching other people, listening to the noise that's coming in, this is the one area that a lot of people want to kind of skip. Or it's like, well, I'll work on that later. I got to get the offer out. I got to sell something. I got to get my social media running. And they sometimes dismiss the power of this first step. So I'm going to go through the 7 steps, and then I'm going to come back to this foundational one, because I believe today, if you walk away with an understanding of how powerful this is, it will change your life and it will change your business. So the first one is personal brand. Second one is your social media strategy. And for me, there's 2 aspects of that. There's 2 objectives. One is you're always continuing to grow and build that personal brand. And the other objective is really about then how to bring in those offers and how to do the marketing and the selling and bring that aspect in. So very important. There's always going to be 2 aspects to your social media. The third one is your offer creation. So what are you coming up with? What is it that you're going to sell, right? The fourth one is what I call the aligned offer suite. So some of you have heard the term business suite. It's really just a collection of offers, essentially. But I put that word aligned in front of it for a very important reason. And you'll hear me reference this a lot, because alignment is probably one of my favorite terms. And I think it is one of the most powerful things that we can do in our life and in our business, right? And then we've got our marketing strategy. And then we've got our selling strategy. And then the 7th one is mindset and energetics. And this to me is critical, because you can have all the tools, all the resources, all the skills, and the greatest offer. And if your mindset or your energy isn't where it needs to be, and you haven't spent time really developing that, then it's going to be a challenge. And I think it's going to be a challenge in life, not just in business, but especially if you're going to be showing up in an online space with a lot of people and a lot of opportunities. And so that's one I also think we can't dismiss. Kind of funny how one's on one end and one's on the other and everything else is in between, which is kind of fun. So I want to come back to this idea of the foundation, which is building your personal brand. And so one of the things that I do with my clients is I actually help them realize sometimes we need to slow down to speed up, right? And sometimes this freaks people out, right? Because a lot of people who come to me already have a business. They're already doing well. They already have some offers. They already have things. They got an agenda. They're ready to go. And that is awesome. But sometimes if we don't slow down to speed up, then what we end up building at the end is not exactly what we were hoping for. And it's not the thing we want to sustain. And frankly, it's not the reason we're building the business in the first place. And so when we really slow down for a second, and I'm not talking long, like a week, maybe 2, So this isn't something that takes months, right? Like where you will develop this over time. One of my favorite sayings that Melanie has is evolution and growth over a lifetime. I think that to me, it just sits at my core. And I believe that we have to be willing to embrace that, but there is a place to start. And so what I really want you to consider in the building of the personal brand is something that I'm going to kind of paint a little picture here for you that I think will hopefully be helpful for you in being able to understand why this is so important. So I want you to think of yourself as a lighthouse. Okay. A lighthouse is solid. It is firm. It is rooted in the ground, right? It sits on the edge of the water. And it doesn't sway in the wind. It doesn't move when it rains or it blows. It's solid and strong. And that's who you are. And our job is to look at that light that's within the lighthouse, right? Our job is to nurture and grow and expand that light to become this beautiful, beautiful light that can shine out across the water so that all those beautiful boats out there can be attracted to that light. All right. And the reason that this is so critical is because sometimes when we're building our business, and again, I want to preface this one thing. One, you don't have to agree with everything I'm saying, and that's beautiful. And two, I'm not saying anyone is wrong for doing things the way they do. There are a million ways to do things. All of them are perfect. Not all of them are for you. And that's the best thing that you can take away from this. And so there's a lot of information out there and conversation out there about targeting people, targeting them. What do they need? What do they want? Go convince them. Go tell them what you got. Convince them that you're the person for them. And while sometimes that can work, what I find is that we're making it a lot harder than it needs to be, first of all, and a lot less enjoyable, because it is not about, and I'm not saying you can't get clients like that. You can get clients like that. They're generally not going to be the most fun experience, but you can get clients like that. But when you turn it back on you and you make it about you and finding your alignment, everything changes. Because when you decide what lights you up, when you decide what you're passionate about, when you find out what makes your heart sing, when you focus on your gifts, when you focus on your strengths and your expertise and the things that you love to do and the ways that you love to be of service, and you represent that and you shine that light, like the lighthouse, you shine that light out there, you are going to attract aligned clients. You are going to attract people who resonate with your light. You don't have to change your light. This is what I tell people. Lighthouses don't have wheels. They don't have wheels. They don't zoom around out on the ocean trying to, hey, come see me. I got something good, right? They don't. They're firm, they're planted right here, and they shine their light, and that is their job. That's it. Shine out the light, let that light go, let it be everything that is in alignment for you, and let the people, the boats out there that are attracted to that light come to you. And to me, when you can operate from that foundation, everything in your life will change. Everything in your business will change, because the reality is you can't separate the two. We are the person in the business, right? And some of us use our names and some of us have companies, but in this day and age and being in the online space, we are a representation. And so if we're not authentic and true, it's really us that has a challenge. Because when we try to be something that we're not, whether someone's telling us to do that or whether we're watching somebody else, that is not sustainable. And frankly, you're not going to attract aligned clients unless you are aligned. And so one of the things we do in that first framework piece of building the personal brand is to really look at who you are as a person. So I talk a lot about the core. I believe that what's in us is beautiful. I believe that that's what God gave us when we were all born. I believe that that is something that is our job to grow and to hone and to protect and to shine. And so I work with them to develop what I call core pillars, which are essentially just a combination of both personal and business, because again, we're one, right? We're connected. And really looking at, on a very deep level, who you are. What are your gifts? What are your expertise? What do you love? What can you not stand? What makes you smile and laugh? What makes you so freaking angry you can hardly stand it? These are the things that make you who you are. These are the things that help you develop your alignment. And so we really walk through this process, and it blows my mind how many people that I have done this work with that have never given themselves the gift. It is a gift to really learn who you are. It is a gift to be so connected to your truth and to realize that that is what people are attracted to. And they just haven't taken the time. They haven't given themselves that gift. It's the best way I can explain it. And I mean, I could show you my phone, the Voxer messages, the tears emojis, the smiling, the parties, the conversations that come from them taking the time to answer these questions and tap into their soul liberates them in a way that they have never experienced before. And then it gives them the power to show up in exactly who they are. And it also makes it easier. Okay, because when you don't know what you're going to talk about or what you stand for or what's meaningful to you, and you might on some level, but when you haven't really dialed it in, sometimes, again, the online space can feel overwhelming. You know, how many times am I supposed to post a day? And what am I supposed to post about? And am I supposed to keep talking about this thing, or am I supposed to switch? Am I supposed to have like 90 different things that I talk about? Or am I supposed to talk the same thing all the time? And so when we really dial this in, one of the gifts that we give ourselves is the ability to really look at the fact that when we know what our core pillars are, and we know what we stand for, and we know in our heart what truly lights us up, and we know how that connects to our gifts, and when we know how that connects to the offers and the things that we bring out into the world, it is so much easier to share. It's so much easier to post. It's so much easier to go live and have a conversation, because you're not guessing. You're not trying to figure out, what does that person want? What do they need? What should I say? And it grounds you. And even if we look at offer creation, so many people create offers because they think someone else wants something, or they think someone else needs something. And while that very well might be true, if you're not building it from your authentic place of alignment, it's not going to go well, because you're not going to show up in the way that you need to show up. And the people that you're attracting, it's going to be wonky. It's that split energy. They're going to say they wanted something, and you're going to think they wanted something else. And it's super challenging, right? And so one of the things that I tell my clients over and over again is, anytime you're making a decision about anything, first of all, you got to build this foundation, because that's where we operate from. And it becomes like a filter, or even like a guide. So who's bowled? Anybody done bowling, right? You know how they have the lane, and then they have the two sides, and you can put the bumpers in the sides, the gutters, right? Like they do it for the kids. And then you roll the ball and it doesn't go in the gutters and it has to go straight down the lane. That's what I want you to think about here. When you create and build your foundation from that authentic place of who you truly are, from that aligned place, it keeps you on a course and doesn't allow you to veer off. And so it's so much better for you and for your audience, because one of the things that I don't think people realize, and I'll come back to what I was going to say about making yourself the most important piece of this conversation, which sometimes sounds funny to people, but one of the most important things is that we have to be consistent in what we're doing, and we have to be clear. And if we don't have consistency and we don't have clarity, then it's really difficult for us But what we don't realize is it's also very difficult for our audience, because our job is not to convince people that we're the one, because you are for some and you are not for others. Our job is to be who we are at our core. Our job is to shine that light and let the people who are attracted to that light come to us. We're not here to convince anybody of anything. And we're not here to get them to buy our thing or to like us, even though we really wish everyone would like us, right? We're here to be who we are. And our only job is to provide an opportunity for people to really learn who we are, to resonate with who we are, and to make a decision that either, yes, you are for me, or no, you are not. And that is it. And if you do that, I guarantee you, you will build a business that will knock your socks off, and people will love you for it. And you, most importantly, will love your life, and you'll love your business. But if you get into the habit of trying to convince people that you're the one, that's not our job. So I really want to hopefully give you the gift and the liberation of even attempting to do that, because so many people do. And again, coming back around to what I was saying, I think that many of us need to be, and this might sound crazy to people, but I mean it in the most genuinely beautiful way. We need to be a little more selfish. We need to love ourselves a little more. We need to give ourselves a little more credit for being willing to do this in the way that really feels true to us. Like Melanie said, listening to that intuition, really feeling into what feels good for us and what doesn't. Because when you get in this space and you start building a business and you start getting an audience and you start really engaging in the online space and you start getting clients, there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of chatter, many of it and most of it beautiful, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that me who's ringing? Oh, hang on. Is it me?
We don't hear it.
You don't? Okay, well then I'll just keep going. Something's ringing. I don't know. You can't hear it. That's great. But okay, what was I talking about? Oh, being selfish, which sounds crazy because everyone tells you shouldn't be. But what I'm saying is when you really truly build your business from a place of that alignment for you, when you really build it from a place of what's going to light me up, and even into the technical parts of like, do I like doing one-on-one work, or do I really like speaking to a group? Do I like having weekly calls with people, or does that actually stress me out? Do I love going live and speaking to people, or am I able to shine when I can like have my cozy space figured out and I can pre-record and I'm just in the moment and everything's channeling through? All of this matters. And so if you're doing it because somebody over here told you what to do, or somebody over here is doing that, there's nothing wrong with trying things out. But when you operate from that place and it's not truly who you are at your core, you're going to struggle. And so one of the things I do with my clients that I think is so powerful is the fact that I don't say, come fit in my box. I have the strategy. I have the know-how. I know exactly what you need to do to be successful. Because first of all, that silver bullet does not exist. And if it does, and any of you find it, please let the rest of us know because we will all use it, right? But it doesn't exist. So what does exist? You, your gifts, your talent, your energy, your expertise, your authentic self. And so I'm not going to have you come fit in my box. But what I am going to do is help you develop exactly who you are so that you can decide how you want to do things and how you want to show up. Because I don't think there is the way to build your business. I think there is your way. And I think you need to own that. I think if you're going to work with someone, you need to work with somebody who's willing to help you develop that, because that is what is sustainable. Doing something that someone else tells you to do will only work for a short period of time because it isn't your truth. And I'm not here to be a crutch for anybody. I don't want you to come work with me and then be like, if I ever leave, everything is going to crumble to the ground. That is not it at all. It's about coming and developing that foundation, aligning with who you truly are, and asking yourself these questions that keep us on that lane, right? Of how do I really want to build this business? Because at the end of the day, I really think that what I think a lot of people hear sometimes, and this just breaks my heart, is that if you're scrappy and you just go all in and you burn the candle at both ends and you claw your way to the top, that eventually you'll have success and you'll get there. And then all of a sudden the clouds will part and you will end up with this life that you just never imagined, that is the most beautiful thing. And I'll tell you, that is a bunch of baloney, because what you're going to end up with is the life that you clawed and scratched and went all in and burned the candle at both ends, and frankly, probably don't particularly love. And what ends up happening a lot of times is people want to burn it all to the ground. Because the whole reason we're doing what we're doing with these business things is to build a life that we actually desire to live. Right? And so we have to build with the end in mind. We have to build it the way we want it to be. And I'm going to pause for a second and say, look, that doesn't mean that sometimes you're not scrappy, because sometimes you got to be scrappy. And that doesn't mean that there aren't seasons. Okay. Melanie has shown up like a flippin' rock star for this summit every day for the last 11 days. That is a season. That is a season. But it's a choice too. And she knows why she's doing it. And she knows what she's getting out of it. And more than anything, she knows what every single one of you is getting out of it. And so I don't say this to say that we don't need help, because we do sometimes. And that's really what I believe is so critical about the title of what I was going to speak on today, which really is the power of collective collaboration. Because I believe that collaborating can change your life and it will 100% change your business. And the gift that I've had with this channel and these ladies is something that will forever be one of the most incredible, touching gifts of my life. And when you can show up and build your business in a way that allows you to feel that way, to connect with people in that authentic way, to shine your light and attract those people who are for you and you are for them, your life will never be the same. And so I really encourage you to consider that foundational piece and to really consider how important it is to understand who you are. Because to me, one of the things that I believe is that the most important piece here is that core connection. It's that core connection between our inner brilliance and our outer success. But we don't get that outer success without developing our inner brilliance. Not on an authentic level, not on a sustainable level, not on a legacy level, not on a mastery level. And every single one of us has the potential to show up in that way. And you don't have to go learn a bunch more or sign up with a specific person or do something particular in your business. You just need to be you. All you, 100% of you. Grow that brilliance inside of you. Let that light shine out like that lighthouse, and let the people who are attracted to you come to you. And I'm telling you, it will be one of the most freeing, one of the easiest, one of the most in flow ways of operating. And what's beautiful about this is while it works in business, it is critical in life. Because we want friends who love us because we're authentic and they know who we are. We want partners who show up with us and support us and love us because of who we authentically are and who they authentically are. We want clients that do the same thing. And so I hope that this landed for you guys a little bit. And Melanie, I'm happy to have a little bit more of a conversation about this, but I do really hope that this has shown you how important it is to build that foundational piece.
This was a brilliant conversation. Brilliant conversation. And I love the analogy of the lighthouse, because a lot of people do try to go out into the water and look for boats. You know, it's like, okay, I've got a job to do. I'm supposed to light the way for people. So let's go find a boat, you know, instead of being like, I am here. I am shining my light. And the people who are meant to come here are going to come here. And even if it means some people on the water are like, turn the light off, we're trying to see the stars. You know, like not everyone's grateful for the lighthouse, but that's okay. Because the people that are meant to find the shore because of you will. And that is really important. And so beautiful. I love the way you presented that. And so one question I would have for you is, let's say someone is saying like, my authentic truth is I don't like social media. I don't like it. I don't like putting myself out there. I don't like it. I'm a private person. What could you say to help someone that's feeling like that right now?
Yeah. That's a beautiful question. And I think there are a lot of people out there who have that feeling on one extreme or another, really. And you know, the first thing I always say, and it's not always what people want to hear, is, well, why? Because here's the thing. It's not because I think you have to be on social media or that's the only way you can be successful. But again, it goes back to that mindset and energetics piece of this, and really determining, is it truly at my core that I don't want to do this, or is there something coming up for me that is blocking me from being able to show up in this way? And so I want to preface by saying, I do think it's important to ask that question of ourselves, because we still want to operate from our truth, right? But if you are someone who that's not really your space, I think there are so many opportunities right now to build a business and show up in a way that doesn't necessarily have to be plastered all over social media. So there's podcast opportunities to get in front of incredible audiences. There is the opportunity to establish a clientele and ask for referrals and have people recommend you and come in that way. Even to just reach out and potentially create a partnership or something with someone else who's doing something. One of the things I tell people is, for your business, sometimes people feel like they have to teach everything from A to Z. And you don't. And so, but I also think that in that process, if you're not the A to Z person, can you find someone else who maybe, if you teach people from A to S, right? Do you have someone that you could find out there that you trust, that you know, that teaches S to Z, right? And can you create a partnership or a referral program with them, or something that the two of you can help support each other? And I also think it's about finding your tribe too, right? Like, we have the opportunity, whether we're plastered all over social media or not, and I'm the perfect example of this, in joining the channel and creating these beautiful friendships and sisterhood in these relationships, and not being present on social media during that time. But I got clients, we had beautiful conversations, we learned so much about each other and who to refer to. So I would just say that be open to the idea that even though social media is very loud and proud and beautiful, and the opportunity is beyond, that also you can do this from a little bit of a behind the scenes way. And also to remember that just because someone else shows up on social media a certain way, you don't necessarily have to do that. And that's one of the things I do with my clients, is like, I'm not going to tell you have to post 7 days a week or 3 times a day. you have to figure out what works for you. So even if there's a small aspect of how you can have a presence and direct people to how you would much rather have conversations and work with them, that's a beautiful opportunity too.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me that I think back at my journey when I first started social media, that really helped me is that I didn't think, it's so wild to say this now, but I did not ever think that I would become successful on social media. That's not how I saw social media. I saw it like if I met someone at a coffee shop in Arizona, but I'm leaving and I'm going to be in Florida next week, how is that person ever going to see that I was not just a little la la la, I have a business in the coffee shop? Like how does that person continue to watch what I think and what I'm doing, and maybe being with a client or whatever? It was more to stay connected to the real people that I was meeting. And so for the longest time, I had no numbers of followers. I had people that followed me. Like I had 35 people, I had 75 people. You know what I mean? Like it was the people that I met along my journeys. If I went to a personal development event and there was a few people there and we stayed connected, okay, cool. But then what started happening is the way that I posted was different. It felt like a diary. So a lot of it was for me. Like what you were saying at the beginning, it has to be something that you enjoy. So it was a little bit like a diary, like here's where I am in the world. Here's what I'm up to. Here's what I'm grateful for. Here's what I'm focusing on. Here's what life is for me, which kind of gave people an understanding of who I am. And then the other thing was honestly testimonials from clients or being with clients and kind of sharing my experience of that, which would make people think, oh, I wonder how I would be a client. And then I'd get messages in my DMs. But none of it was a strategic growth plan for, world domination. Like that's not the way I came on social media. And the fact that I've continued, when you look at my social media, it's very organic, and it's a lot of storytelling, and it's a lot of my life and my behind the scenes and how I see life. I've found a way that works for me. But I could find you 100 people like this that would look at my social media and say that shouldn't work.
Right.
Like that should not work. That goes against the law. Don't do that. And I'd be like, do it, because it depends.
Right. And I think that's what's so critical, is that you find what really works for you. Again, checking yourself, not because you're good. You know what you wanted. You're doing this because this is who you are and how you want to operate. But it's a slippery slope, because there are a lot of people telling us that we need to do something a certain way in order to be successful. And again, I'm not saying you can't be successful on some level doing those things, but it's not sustainable. And so I do think that, and again, if you didn't know who you were at your core, you have your core pillars, whether you can list them out or not. You know what you stand for. You know what lights you up. You know what you love. We know what you love. Lattes, fires, Kevin, the houses, all the beauty, there's that's just some of the personal stuff. And then we go into these other pieces of contemplation and deepening and, all of this. It's like, it's not difficult for you to do this, because it is who you are at your core. It is, you found your alignment. And then again, the evolution and growth over a lifetime, that will grow and evolve, but it's still truly who you are. So I love that you brought this up, because again, I think so many people think I have to do this a certain way. And I don't believe that. I believe that it's finding your way and then trusting with every fiber of your being that if you show up in that authentic way, that you will have success.
I feel like you really nailed that message. Honestly, like I was listening to you speak, and I'm thinking of so many different ways that I know of people who've succeeded at this. And I was like, you're so right. Like it's not that there is a one way, it's that there's a way that's right for you when you're aligned, and there's a way to figure that out. And I love this. This is really, really cool. I love this conversation. I think it's going to help a lot of people make a move in their life, because ultimately, how does whole channel come to be? Because I didn't know, apart from Karen, I didn't know anybody of these people in real life.
Right.
And so how do we bring all these people together if it's not for social media? How do they find me and how do I find them? And I didn't know you before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had met Tara before, or I met Karen before she was even a client. Mm-hmm. I met her in Mexico as a friend. But my biggest calling for you here, listening to what we're saying, is if it wouldn't be possible for you to put out an offer out there and that people would hear it, that's a really great thing to invest in. If you're not in a place where someone could call you in and you wouldn't be able to say yes because you haven't built your business yet, because you're still on hold, because you're still waiting, and the funds wouldn't even be there if you did get the call. It's like, this is where it's like there's two things that needed to happen. I needed to be available to be on social media. I needed to be brave, and they needed to build their businesses to some point, to some extent, and they needed to be brave. And then something in the middle had to click. And social media is such a gift.
It is.
And it can be overwhelming. And sometimes we don't know for sure what we're doing, but we figure it out. And it is such an incredible gift. I'm so grateful for social media.
I am too. And it doesn't mean that it's all sunshine and roses all the time. I mean, we know that, but that's also life. And I was talking to a woman the other day who didn't have a real social media presence and was very nervous about, building her business online. And I said, well, one of the things you can do is remind yourself, I get to do this. We get social media. We get this incredible opportunity to shine our light out internationally, if we want to, across borders. We get to do that. We don't have to, but we get to. And when you look at it that way, and the gift that it truly is, and that we get to, I think that can really help shift some things for people too. Because when it feels like a job, when it feels like something I have to do, sometimes we can, it's not the same in looking at it that way. And so when we look at it like, I get to do this, I get to show up today, I get to make a difference, I get to shine my light, I get to attract incredible people that are like me and all of us, right? Like, I get to do that. And so I would just keep that little nugget in your head. And anytime something does come up around social media, it's okay to feel all the feels, but remind yourself that we get to do this.
Yes. And if ever an opportunity does come along in your life, and it might, where you get an opportunity to speak, or you get an opportunity to, present yourself in front of people, if they love you and then they try to find you and there is no accurate representation of you on the internet, a lot of times that's the end instead of the beginning. Yes. And so it's just like you build something that when people find you, they go, I can figure out who this person is, what they like, what they stand for, how I can connect with them more, how, there's a gateway for me to connect. Because if not, you meet people and then you lose people. Social media is the way to connect with a stranger faster than ever before. And that's kind of what we got to experience through our time in the channel. And, all of our social medias got better in the last 2 years, but it's just goes to show, like, without it, none of this exists, not for us and not for you guys as participants. So just remembering how big of an opportunity this is and deciding if you want to make that a bigger part of your life.
Right.
Because you get to.
You get to. You get to. And I wrote something for my website not too long ago. And if it's okay, I just want to read it here, because I think that it's a powerful way to kind of sum up this whole idea of building from a place of authenticity and connecting with people. And there's always another level, another dimension to calibrate to. We calibrate not by becoming like someone else. We calibrate by finding and expanding our power in the collective experience. And I invite you to be part of the collective experience, because it's life-changing. And it doesn't mean you have to be like someone else. You get to be you. And then we can connect and grow and expand from that place.
That was amazing. Does that feel like your closing statement? Do I read your bio? Or is there one last piece you wanted to share before we complete?
No, I think that's good. I just want to say thank you, Melanie. What a gift. What a gift. The channel, the summit, you. And ladies, I love you. And I'm so grateful for you. And I know that this is a sisterhood that will last. And for those of you who are watching and joining the party, I hope you're having the time of your life, because it is really an incredible opportunity.
We love you too so much. You've been such an incredible sister, an incredible presence in the channel the whole time. Your energy has been so solid for someone who's going through so much. and you've let people in. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. Like sometimes you think in order to be close to people, they've just got to, you know, you've got to feel like you belong and you've got to feel like you fit in. But a lot of the times the way that you feel like you belong the most is with a person who lets themselves in. You know, they show up and they say, I'm going through something and I'm going to let you hold this with me. And that feels like sisterhood even more than, you know, can I help you or can I be there for you? It's like, can you be there for me is just as much a feeling of sisterhood.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that so much. And that's a gift. It really is. It's a gift. So love you, ladies.
So let's read this beautiful bio. Danielle DeAnna is a powerhouse in the online space. With over 10 years of experience in coaching, mentoring, and done-for-you tech and automation, her work is a combination of helping high-achieving business women to further develop their personal brand and scale their business by implementing aligned systems and strategies that allow them to optimize, streamline, and stand out. Her work with clients is a collaboration of refinement and scalability that will propel their business to operate in an entirely new dimension, aligning perfectly with the life they are deliberately creating. Through collective collaboration, Danielle works with her clients to deep dive into developing aligned strategies for marketing, creating and refining offers, curating an aligned offer suite, customer journey, streamlining the sales process, and implementing a service-led back-end client retention approach. Danielle strongly believes there is no one-size-fits-all approach to scaling a business. She's not here to try to make clients fit into her proven marketing strategies or to try to make her clients automate every part of their business. She's here to help her clients develop their own approach from a place of true alignment, and this is where the magic happens. Danielle's work with clients is a combination of guidance, teaching, skills, and accountability. It's intentional, it's personal, it's next level. It's a refinement of who you've been, of who you are now, and who you desire to be. That is awesome. Thank you so much for a beautiful talk, for the vulnerability in the beginning, for the genius in the middle, for the love at the end. It was masterful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melanie. This is wonderful. Ladies, I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us today. This is our first call of the day. We have 2 more coming that are so wonderful, and then 2 more tomorrow, and that will complete the channel. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your attention. We're so grateful, and we will see you on the internet. Yay.